years ago, I first came to Britain as a student at this institution, the London School of Economics. I had never left my country before that. Born and raised in Kenya, in Africa, coming to England was like a dream. I remember before coming on this journey, I read the prospectus at least 5 times, every page, cover to cover. So excited I was to come here. And I can relate to all the students who continue to come to the LSE today. In fact, I would say that statistically, if you looked at the Indian diaspora from all over the world, whether it's Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, Europe, Belgium, Germany, East Africa, the United States, the Indian diaspora would comprise one of the largest foreign student populations at the LSE today. 30 years ago, the LSE was famous. Today, it is even more famous. I did my bachelor's degree here, got a first-class honors. I did my master's degree here, and I did my PhD as a research fellow here at the LSE. I was fortunate. I studied with some of the brightest minds, and as a result of that, I was able to become a lecturer, an academic, and a writer. So British universities make a huge contribution to the education of the world. And by drawing the world to them, they help to connect the world together, to make it into the village that it is becoming. However, there is one area where I feel there is still much work to be done. And that is in the area of culture and education. If you were to ask me the economics that I studied, what component of my culture was in the course, what component of my ethics and my own approach to economics, my community economics, was a part of this course, then I would say a big zero. In fact, actually speaking, the study and the subjects were such that cultural identity was suppressed. Science tries to be objective, and in its effort to be objective, it wants to suppress and compress difference. It wants everyone to behave in the same way. So for example, economics starts with the assumption that everyone is selfish. And in fact, as a result of that, a lot of the students who graduate from economics courses end up becoming selfish. But diverse ethics and the work I do and the Masala tool is trying to shift that horizon. It wants the world to engage with cultural difference, not on the margins, not by setting a separate department of culture or a department of religious studies where you can box culture into a corner. No, I want culture to infuse into every aspect of study. I want students here to discover a bit of their own culture in the subjects that they study. And I want them to experience the relationship between their values, their ethics, and the science subjects that they study. It can be done. In fact, the modern world calls for that level of harmony. Because until we connect with the essence of people's beliefs, with the people's values and their culture, we will not be able to bring about real and lasting change in the world. My own Jain culture has a huge amount to say in terms of economics, in terms of sustainability, in terms of the environment, in terms of science, in terms of mental health, physical well-being, food, nutrition. I can go on. Cosmology, astrology. But I want those sciences to have a place in the mainstream curriculum of British universities. And in the Masala tool, what you will find as you follow is you will find aspects of the thinking. You will find the kind of theories that are embedded in these cultures which can help enrich student life right here, right now. And actually, in their own way, I feel that students today are struggling to keep their identity. they want to have their culture alive. If you look at the presence of India and Indian culture on these campuses, the National Hindu Students Forum is growing exponentially, and the members are becoming very fired in bringing alive their Hindu culture and practicing their art and their values. The students are very talented and they are proud, but we want that culture to connect with the curriculum. So I came here 30 years ago. I came here as a student, possibly as a potential immigrant. And you know, in the national psyche there is a thinking that immigrants come here empty-handed. But actually, when you look at what I have done in this country over 30 years, I have contributed huge amounts in so many different ways to this country. I started the organization Young Jains, which has now become a global organization. I became a board member of the Museums, Libraries and Archives Council. As a volunteer, I'm participating in civic life and strategy in this country. I became an academic at various universities, and by being an Indian academic, I was able to connect with their Indian students much more deeper than otherwise. I became a writer and a broadcaster. I have done many broadcasts on the BBC. The World Service is just around the corner. I've done broadcasts for the BBC World Service, BBC Radio 4. And in a way, the springs were laid here at the London School of Economics. But the fountain of inspiration came from my inheritance, my culture. And this culture, I don't want to stay within me. I don't want to keep it within my ghetto, within my pocket. I want to share it with Britain, and I want to share it with the world. And by you joining this Masala tour, you'll be able to help me on this journey. And I look forward to meeting you. Thank you.